Which Knockout League boxer is the biggest cheater? Knockout League is a VR boxing game with 9 unique fighters to face off against. These fighters range from just normal boxers to pirates who think it's okay to bring swords into the ring, and British octopi who drink tea in between rounds. Obviously, most of these boxers are breaking rules. But what rules, and how many? This is what I have set out to answer today, after reading multiple organizations' rules for boxing, including the World Boxing Organization, the Global Boxing League, the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports, and the International Boxing Federation, only one of which isn't real. Anyway, after reading all those rules, I realized that not only are all the fighters breaking rules, but the game breaks some rules as well. For instance, fighters aren't given corner time, and an Iron Maiden's fight, which you rip your gloves off, the ref should have stopped the fight immediately, and they should have been replaced by the video. Which brings me on to the fact that there is no ref. The ref is one of the most important parts of boxing, as they deliver the 10 count when a fighter is down. Speaking of the 10 count, fighters are never given one at the end of the battle. With that out of the way, let's get into the fighters. First up is the infamous Brazilian bruiser, Tri-Tip. Just from looking at him, you wouldn't automatically think he's breaking any rules, but he actually breaks 5. And they're not rules you'd think would exist. For example, his boots go up way too high. Even though you aren't allowed to hit below the waist, there are still rules on how high your boots can be. Those rules can change depending on your weight class and fighting style, but the highest allowed doesn't even go halfway up your calf. But Tri-Tip's shoes are only a few inches away from his shorts. Speaking of his shorts, they have personal branding on them, which is strictly prohibited. He also has earrings in, and boxing rules state that you must take them out before a fight. Another rule you wouldn't think about is what part of the glove you're allowed to hit with. In boxing, you're only allowed to hit with the front bit of the glove. Anywhere else is considered an infraction. Tri-Tip breaks this rule here with a sideways chop, and here with an open palm strike. His gloves also catch on fire, but I don't think I'm gonna count it. We'll just say it's fancy lighting. Oh, another thing to note is Tri-Tip is the only fighter who is actually wearing a mouthguard. I have no clue why Grab Games decided to do that, but that's how it is. All said and done, that's 5 infractions. Let's see if the next fighter beats it. Barrage is up next, and I promise she's the last boxer who's just, a boxer. The rest are teleporting celebrities and mad scientists. Don't worry. I thought that right here, her knees touch the ground, making her out, but after investigating further, they don't, so it's all clear. Except that after watching back the footage, I realized that this is a jump attack, which is also legal. The same thing happened later when I was trying to decide whether or not her sleeveless hoodie was legal or not, and not only did I find out that it is, but I also realized that you're not allowed to have phrases on your clothes, which Barrage does. She's also wearing a headband, which is illegal, counting as headgear that would allow punches to slip off easier. Lastly, she performs an open palm strike here. Even though it looks like a hook, when paused, you see neither her elbow nor her wrist is bent. She's also not wearing a mouth guard, but practically no one is in this league. All in all, Barrage has 6 infractions against her. The title bout for the pro circuit is that mad scientist I mentioned earlier, Volt. Let's just get the hardest bit out of the way. Okay, so obviously engineering a pair of robotic legs that are no doubt much stronger and faster than human legs is illegal. First off is the kicking. What is there even to say? Of course you can't kick in a boxing match. I'm also including the legs in general as an outside electronic, and I think the metal box thing and the belt securing it would count as body armor, which, again, is obviously illegal. His gloves also have wires attached to them, which I'm gonna count as him basically loading his gloves, since we never see his gloves do anything electric. I mean, we barely see them do anything at all. He also has a massive helmet on, which is stupid illegal. And he's not wearing a mouth guard, yada yada yada. Volt comes out swinging, or kicking, I guess, with, how many infractions? 6? And how many did Barrage have? 6 as well? You're telling me the guy who brought spring-loaded legs to a boxing match broke the same amount of rules as someone who had words on her hoodie? That's not happening. When you think about it, his, headpiece should be counted as an outside electronic as well. The headpiece also covers his ears, so he could be receiving outside advice. After closer investigation, Volt is actually breaking 8 rules, not 6. Hailing from the mystic jungles in Alar, our next fighter is Crimson Fang. Not only is her helmet a god, but it also bites you. How is this allowed? Her helmet gets 4 separate infractions. 1 for wearing headgear, 1 for having hair sticking out of that headgear. Weird rule, I know, but it's still a rule. The thing biting you, and I feel like her helmet canonically being a god.
Her mask is a guy.
I feel like like that should be an infraction, but I have no clue what to place it under. We'll go with outside influence, sure. Her gloves also have little rocks on them. Rocks! On the gloves! She's not even hiding it! Speaking of her gloves, she misuses them here with a sideways chop, and here with an open palm strike. Wait, but actually, she doesn't hit you. Her mask interrupts her. She was definitely about to do an open palm strike though.
5 minutes later.
Okay, I've been thinking about this, and I've come to the conclusion that I have no clue how to classify this. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna flip a coin on Google, and if it's heads, it's an infraction, and if it's tails, it's not. Sound good? So I guess we're counting it. Moving on. Crimson Fang actually has 2 jump attacks, one in both her fights, and also one exclusive to her grudge rematch. Her knee also touches the ground here, and again, I'm not entirely sure I can count this, since there's no ref telling her she's out, but then again, she should have felt her knee touch the ground, and therefore she should have known she was out because of it. We'll count it. She's also not wearing a mouth guard. Yeah, okay, we get it. We have a new record holder. This guy brought a gun to a boxing match. And he lost. Scurvy Jones. Where to even begin with this one? I guess with the obvious ones. He's wearing headgear like most of the fighters. He's not wearing a mouth guard like nearly all of them. With that out of the way, we can get on to the unique infractions, which Scurvy has 2 of. He has way too bushy a beard. The rules in boxing state that facial hair is allowed as long as the jawline is visible. Look at his jawline. You can't. Need I say more? He's also the only fighter to use a headbutt, which he does at the end of every round when he's about to go down. You might have also noticed that he brought a parrot into the ring. What you might not have noticed, since all these clips are muted, is that this parrot is giving Scurvy orders on what attacks to use. This parrot brings in 3 infractions. 1 for giving directions, that's an outside influence. 1 for bringing a parrot into the ring, only the fighters and the ref are allowed in the ring. And the parrot has a little hat. Despite how adorable it is, it's still illegal. Now let's talk about what else he brings into the ring. He brought a sword in his right hand, his left hand is a hook, and he brought a gun in his coat pocket. Speaking of his coat, he's wearing way too much clothing. I can count 3 layers, which would massively change how much a punch would hurt. His pants also don't show his knees, nor do they contrast with his shirt, making it hard to decide what would be a low blow. He also has earrings in, as we said with tri-tip, those need to be taken out before the fight. I'm not sure whether or not to count his eye patch as headgear or not, but because of how many rules he's already broken, I'm not pulling any punches. Unlike him, he pulled all his punches and brought a sword. He also does a jump attack with that sword. That's it. Scurvy Jones has 16 infractions. I need to take a breather. The title bout for the Superstar Circuit is the 8-armed Cavalier Sir Octopunch. In his opening cutscene, our coach, Doc, literally says, "This won't be a fair fight." Yeah, Doc? Is this the only unfair fight? Nice to know. Anyway, he's wearing a tiny little bowler hat and bow tie. Both are illegal no matter how little they cover. He's also not wearing a mouth guard, but he also doesn't have a mouth. I mean, the rules state that all fighters must wear a mouth guard, and Octopunch isn't, so... Now for the unique infractions. His opening theatric gets water on him, allowing punches to slip off easier, although he might need to survive. Can octopi survive outside of water? Yep, they can. So, as long as they're in an ocean, or heck, even a big bathtub near wherever these fights take place, Octopunch does not need water, so his opening theatric is illegal. His other unique infraction is that when you get knocked down, he sometimes drinks tea. You're only allowed to drink water in the corner, and you are definitely not allowed to drink tea in the middle of a match. He also doesn't have a clear distinction of the waist, but do octopi have waists? Actually, I don't think I want to look that up. Still an infraction though. He also throws the most obvious palm strike right here, and the most obvious backhand here. Oh, and he shoots ink at you. I'm not sure how to classify that. But I think I'm gonna count as used as a weapon. I mean, it's illegal to spit on your opponent's eyes to blind them. So this is basically the same thing. Aquapunch ends up with 10 infractions when you add in him turning invisible, which I am not sure how to classify, but I am sure it's illegal. Our next opponent is Iron Maiden. She's wearing full body armor with spikes on it that rips your glove off if you hit her. And she still isn't wearing a mouth guard. It's the only thing she isn't guarding. Despite wearing a giant suit of armor, she only has one distinct infraction. And it's the fact that we don't know her name, so it can be assumed she doesn't actually have a boxing license. Her armor doesn't show her knees as well, and as we've established, your shorts can only go down to your knees, not past them. Crimson Fang was the last fighter to not break this rule. Everyone from her on isn't showing knees, or doesn't have knees, not in this case. I'm also pretty sure her faceplate opening up counts as an outside electronic, and since she's wearing a full suit of armor, she has lost the benefit of doubt entirely. Speaking of her face, since she has something covering it, it counts as a headgear, and she also has metal plating on her gloves, so I'm counting that as her loading her gloves. She also does a backhand with those gloves here, and that's it. Iron Maiden has 8 infractions. Showtime is up next. He's a celebrity who wanted to expand his brand, so he got really good at boxing. Not sure if that achieved what he was going for, but to each their own. Anyway, because he's so rich, he brought his phone into the ring. He pulled it out of his coat pocket after he's knocked out, which means his phone was being punched while it was in his coat. It's a miracle that thing works. Actually, if you physically walk behind him and look at his screen, it's blank. So, I guess it did break. Now for his clothes. Wearing a suit is obviously illegal, and his pants don't show his knees. They also don't clearly show where the waist is and what would count as a low blow. He also sniffs a rose when he's down? I mean, you can't do that, right? There might be something in that rose. We'll count it as equivalent to drinking something other than water in the ring. He also isn't wearing a mouth guard. Yeah, you know the drill. Showtime has 6 infractions. Our final opponent, the Great Magician. He brings a whole bunch of tricks in the ring. Like his magic wand, that's a weapon. Actually, I put this guy down for 4 weapons. One for the wand, one for the cards, one for those cards turning into literal saw blades, and one for the extended boxing glove thing the rabbit has. Yeah, he brings a rabbit into the ring, which, as we've established with Scurvy Jones, is an outside influence. He's also wearing a top hat and is wearing way too much clothing for a boxing match, and also the unique infractions. During his portal attack, he goes outside the ring. That's a massive infraction. Well, actually, you don't know that yet. You see, if you're knocked out of the ring for any reason, you have 20 seconds to get back in the ring before you're out. So, let's see how long you can stay outside the ring.
And now,
there we go.
For another trick.
Okay.
Carefully choose a card.
I just have to stay here.
Pick a card. Here. 1, 2, only losers left.
He's still outside.
Round 4. Use your eyes.
Hey, he's still outside. Jump. He definitely takes longer than 20 seconds to get back in the ring. That's an infraction. His other unique infraction is that he does a literal ear clap, which is illegal. He also doesn't have a clear distinction of his waist, it's all the same color, and his pants go deep beyond the knees. Finally, say it with me. He's not wearing a mouth guard. Our final opponent has left with only 12 infractions. After 9 bosses, we have our winner. Scurvy Jones has a whopping 16 infractions. Ban this man for life. Shout out to Tri-Tip for only having 4 infractions. Great job, you broke 4 rules in a sport where breaking 1 rule can get you disqualified. Even bigger shout out to Bumbles McFumbles for inspiring me to make this video. He made a video about which Punch-Out boxer was breaking the most rules. This is very different from my normal content. I hope you guys like it. If you did, please share it with a friend, subscribe, or leave a like, or one of the many things you can do to help me out. I would appreciate it so much. Oh, also, this is my 100 subscriber special. It wasn't originally going to be, but then the timing lined up really well. I cannot believe I'm at 100 subscribers. That is truly insane. You know, the other day I remembered that that's not just a number, those are people. people who saw my silly little videos and decided to stick around and subscribe. And it means so much to me from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.